What's up, guys? This is Manoj Uptani. I welcome you all on behalf of the Edupedia world. Fasten up your seatbelts. We're about to take off with the first topic of the day, and that will be the deposits. So, in my last presentation, I did told you about something that the company needs to have the paid up capital and something related to other areas. So, I told you I'll be discussing with you relating to some of the things with respect to the deposits in my next forthcoming presentation. So, here I am with the first topic of deposits. This part will be covered under section 7 of the Insurance Act 1938. So, what are the amount and what's the form of that deposit, which is extremely crucial for any of the insurance business company to first of all have it deposited. So, what you need to do is, if in case you are starting up any of your insurance business, you need to deposit your amount with RBI, Reserve Bank of India. Okay, every insurer needs to do that in two of the forms, either in cash or approved securities. Okay, now if you are working out with or carrying on some of the business relating to life insurance, you'll be having a different amount of deposit. If you are having general insurance business, you'll be having some other amount of deposit. And if in case you are carrying on reinsurance business, then again you'll be having some other amount of business. So what all will be that amount? Let's discuss further into detail now. So guys, every insurer, okay, shall deposit and keep deposited with RBI in one of the offices in India of that bank for and on behalf of the central government the amounts either in cash or in approved securities which are estimated at the market value of the securities on the date of deposit, or partly in cash or partly in approved securities as so estimated. Number 1, in case of life insurance business, a sum equivalent to 1% of his gross total premium written in India in a financial year, which should not be exceeding rupees 10 crore. So 1% of the total gross premium or maximum of 10 crores, whichever is less. In case of general insurance business, a sum equivalent to 3% of the total gross premium written in India in a financial year not exceeding rupees 10 crores. And in case of reinsurance business, a sum of rupees 20 crores. That's it. So if I'll talk about deposits, that's a simple flow of this snippet which I have like attached for you guys to in order to ensure and make you understand simply. So deposit with RBI either in cash or approved securities, or partly in cash or partly in approved securities. If in case of life insurance business, at least 1% of the total gross premium not exceeding 10 crore. In case of general insurance business, 3% of the total gross premium not exceeding 10 crores. And in case of reinsurance business, 20 crores fixed. That's it. So that is something with relation to the amount and your form of deposit with RBI, okay, on behalf of central government. That this thing has been mentioned under section 7 subsection 1. Now coming towards the investment of cash in approved securities or vice versa by RBI on behalf of the insurer. This thing has been like covered under section 7 subsection 9A. So RBI shall, if so requested by the insurer, will sell any of the securities deposited by the insurer with the bank and hold the cash which has been realized by such sale as deposit. They can. So if in case you wish to pay your deposit, so you can ask RBI to sell off all those securities which you have deposited with RBI, and you'll ask the RBI to hold that cash which has been realized by such sale as the form of deposit. So that will be like directly transferred with RBI in that case. Or you can invest in the approved securities which have like specified by the insurer, the whole or the any part of that deposited which is held by it in cash. That is the second alternative. And you may charge for some normal commission on such sale or on such investments. So that is something with which you can do. So investment in cash in approved securities or vice versa by RBI on behalf of insurer. RBI may help you up with that kind of investment in approved securities and cash. If you wish to, you may ask RBI. So they'll help you out in that particular case. This thing has been like covered under section 7 subsection 9A. I hope you guys are clear with completely with relation to each amount of deposit that is required to be made, and the kind of investment in cash or approved securities that can be done. With this, let's move towards the next topic. And this will be about the reservation of deposits and refund of deposits. Reservation of deposits will be like covered under section 8 of the Insurance Act 1938, and refund of deposits will be covered under section 9 of the Insurance Act 1938. So if I'll talk about the reservation of deposits, so it's been like clearly mentioned. Number one, that no assignment, charge or liability or attachment. So this thing has been like covered under section 8 subsection 1. What does it say? Let's understand it and dig it a bit deeper. So any deposit made under section 7, which we just had a privilege of like understanding now. Any deposit made under section 7 shall be deemed to be a part of assets of the insurer, but shall not be susceptible of any assignment or charge, nor shall it be available for any discharge of any liability of the insurer other than the liabilities arising out of the policies of insurance issued by the insurer, so long as any such liabilities remain undischarged, nor shall it be liable to any attachment in execution of any decree, except a decree obtained by the policy holder of the insurer in respect of the debt due upon a policy, which debt the policy holder has failed to realize in any way. Now, since it's a very big kind of stuff which has been like provided in Bear Act, let's understand it. Okay, I'll provide you an example in order to make you understand. What does an insurance company do? It does the insurance business, right? It will be like very regular for them to enter into any of the contract with respect to the insurance business. Absolutely. Okay. What this particular section says, that the kind of deposit you're making under section 7 and you're paying the same deposit to RBI, this particular deposit cannot be used for any kind of assignment, any of the charge, any of the discharge of the liability or attachment which does not have anything to do with the main claims or insurance purposes. Okay, so it simply says that this particular amount, that deposit amount, cannot be available for any of the discharge of liability for the insurer other than those which have been like arising out of that liability of the policies of insurance which is issued by the insurer. If in case you want to pay out your liability which is being arose on behalf of those policies that policy holder did took, then you are free to do. That deposit can be used. Absolutely, that is the only thing which is why it is being kept. As to if in case you are not able to pay back to your policy holders, your insurance claim holders, then deposit can be used to pay back to them. So that can be used for that purpose. But apart from that purpose, this particular stuff shall not be susceptible to any of the assignment or charge. So that's been like clearly mentioned in that case. Neither it can be like liable to attach in execution of any of the decree, except the kind of decree which has been like obtained by the policy holder itself of the insurer in respect of the amount which is due upon a policy with the company now, and he wants to take back his money. So then the same deposit can be used. So there will be a reservation of those deposit, and no assignment, no charge, no liability or attachment can be applied to that, apart from the one which is basically about to get paid to the policy holder itself with respect to any of the policies. I hope that's absolutely clear to each one of you guys. Perfect. Now let's talk about the second stuff. So that is about the deposit to be utilized only for discharge of liabilities arising out of policies of insurance. So now the thing which I was telling to you, that's again being like quoted under section 8 subsection 2. So where a deposit is made in respect of life insurance business, the deposit made in respect thereof shall not be available for discharge of any other liability of the insurer other than the liabilities which are arising out of the policies of life insurance issued by the insurer. So you need to ensure that the deposit is utilized only for discharge of liabilities arising out of the policies of insurance. That is something which is indirectly covered in section 8 subsection 1 and which is directly quoted in section 8 subsection 2 itself. So that is all about the reservation of deposit. This thing has been covered under section 8. Now coming to the second part, that is the refund of deposit. This thing is mentioned under section 9 of the Insurance Act 1938. So the court may on application of the insurer order the return to the insurer of the deposit which is made under this act if the insurer has ceased to carry on in India any or all of the classes of insurance business and all liabilities with respect to such insurance business have been satisfied. So when the insurer has himself or herself readily agreed to the fact that now they'll not be carrying on any of the business of insurance in India. Okay, and all of their liabilities, whether due to the policyholder or other persons, okay, they have satisfied all those liabilities. Then in that case, the kind of deposit they have made with RBI on behalf of central government, court may, on application of by the insurer, may order to return that to the insurer of that deposit. The court may allow that. So where an insurer has ceased to carry on in India all classes of insurance business, I'm talking about all. So when the thing has been like decided that no more carrying on of insurance business in India will be done. So, and his all liabilities in India in respect of all the classes of insurance business have been like satisfied or otherwise provided for. And in that case, the court may, on application of the insurer, order the return to the insurer of the deposits made by him under this act. So then you can refund the deposit back to the insurer. I hope you guys are pretty much clear with both the concepts, whether it's about the reservation of deposits or about the refund of deposits. Can we proceed? Perfect. Let's move further with the next topic. Now, this provision is about the amendment of provisions relating to appointments of managing directors, etc., to be subject to previous approval of authority. So guys, since I've told you this thing that IRDA is the father of each and every kind of business relating to insurance which is going on in India currently. So if you want to make any of the appointment amendment with respect to appointment or reappointment or any of stuff like amendment of any of the provision with relation to amendment of appointment of managing director, main directors, full-time directors, then in that case you need to have that previous approval of authority, that is IRDA, done on time. This thing has been like mentioned under section 34A. So in case of insurer, in the case of an insurer, no appointment, no reappointment, no termination of appointment, and no amendment of any of the provision relating to the remuneration of managing director, whole-time director, or a manager or chief executive officer by whatever name called shall have effect unless such appointment, reappointment, or termination of appointment or such amendment is actually made with the previous approval of authority, that is IRDA. So if in case you want to make any of the amendment to the provision of any of the appointment, reappointment, or amendment to any of the appointments, so you need to have that first previous approval of authority done, and then only you can proceed with the appointment, reappointment, termination, or maybe making some of the amendment with respect to any of the appointment. So first you need to have that previous approval of IRDA. This thing has been mentioned under section 34A. I hope that's pretty much clear to each one of you guys. Perfect guys, let's move towards the power now. So what's the power of authority to remove managerial persons? So number one, removal to be in public interest or in the interest of policy holders. This thing has been mentioned under section 34B subsection 1. So where the authority, that is IRDA, is satisfied that in the public interest or from preventing the affairs of an insurer being conducted in a manner detrimental to the interest of the policy holder. Again, where the authority is satisfied that in the public interest or in the interest of policy holders or for securing the proper management of any insurer, it is necessary so to do, then in that case he may, for reasons to be recorded in writing by order, remove from office with effect from such date as may be specified in the order any director or chief executive director by whatever name called of that insurer. It simply says that IRDA has authority to remove any of the managerial personnel of the insurance based company if they are satisfied with the fact that their removal is extremely important in order to ensure the public interests and in the interest of policy holders. They can do so, but they need to record those reasons in writing and then they can issue the order, and with such date whatever has been specified in that order, they can remove any of the director or chief executive director or by whatever name called that managerial personnel whenever they wish to. That is something which is expressly provided in the powers of IRDA authority, they can. But having said that, before removal of that person in the public interest or in the interest of policyholders, there should be equal and a good opportunity should be provided to reasonably present his case in front of the authority. So the issue of show cause notice before removal is extremely important. This thing has been mentioned under section 34B subsection 2. So no order under subsection 1 shall be made unless the director or chief executive officer concerned has been given a reasonable opportunity of making a representation to the authority against the proposed order. So issue of show cause notice before removal is necessary. I hope you guys are pretty much clear with kind of amendment of provisions relating to appointments of MDs to be subject to previous approval of authority, and along with that you guys are clear with each and every kind of power of authority to remove the managerial personnel as and when they want to. Perfect guys, let's move towards the last topic of this presentation, and that will be relating to the power of authority to appoint additional directors. This thing has been mentioned under section 34C. Are we guys all set? Perfect. Let's head towards the last topic of this presentation. So number 1 is the appointment at the discretion of authority. This thing has been clearly explained under section 34C subsection 1. So if the authority, that is IRDA, if IRDA is of the opinion that in the public interest or in the interest of the insurer or his policyholders, it is very necessary to appoint one or more persons to hold office as additional director of the insurer, then they may do so from time to time by order in writing with effect from such date as may be specified in that particular order. So they have the power to appoint at their own discretion, okay, whenever they wish to, and if they feel and get satisfied with the fact that there should be enough space for one or more persons to hold office as additional director of the insurer, they may wish to, and they can appoint at the discretion of their authority. So this is something which is expressly provided in the powers of IRDA authority to appoint additional directors. Now the next thing that comes into the picture about maximum number of directors. How many members or how many additional directors can you have on board? This is a provision to the section 34C subsection 1. So the number of additional directors so appointed shall not at any time exceed 5 or 1/3 of the maximum strength fixed for the board by the articles of association of the insurer, whichever is less. So you can have either 5 or 1/3 of the maximum strength fixed by the board. Out of these two, then you'll be likely to choose one which is less, whichever is less. So in any case, you cannot go maximum than 5 in any case for that. So by default, the maximum number of directors, additional directors that you can have on board at one point of time is 5. Why? Because whichever is less. So in any case, 5 should be the maximum figure. So 5 or 1/3 of the maximum strength fixed by the board or by the articles of association. So whichever is less. This is something relating to one of the proviso to section 34C subsection 1. Now, what all are the different provisions which are applicable to additional directors? So there are a few provisions which are the kind of other things which are applicable to additional directors itself. So this thing has been mentioned under section 34C subsection 2. So any person appointed as additional director in pursuance of this section shall hold office during the pleasure of the authority, that is IRDA, for a period not exceeding 3 years or such further periods not exceeding 3 years at a time as the authority may specify. So by this I simply can say that the time period for holding up of the office for any of the additional director shall be 3 years or less, okay, or another 3 years, one at a time as the authority may specify. So the maximum time that a person can enjoy and feel relaxed about in an office would be 3 years at one go. He can be appointed, he can be reappointed for another additional period of again 3 years. So 3 years or 3 years at a time, so as the authority may specify. Number 2 provision, that any person appointed as an additional director shall not incur any obligation or liability by reason of only his being a director or for anything done or omitted to be done in the good faith in the execution of the duties of his duties and in relation thereto. So that again says that the additional director cannot and shall not incur any kind of obligation and liability apart from being the additional director in that company. Why? Because he has been appointed to have that kind of work done in that company, so he shouldn't incur any of the other obligation or liability solely by the reason because he is an additional director. No, that shouldn't be the case. And finally, a person who has been like appointed as an additional director shall not be required to hold qualification shares of the insurer. This is something which is expressly provided under section 34C subsection 2, that he shall hold the office at the pleasure of the authority for a period not exceeding 3 years at a time. Next, he shall not incur any of the obligation or liability just because of the fact that he is an additional director, and he shall not be required to hold any of the qualification shares of the issuer. By qualification of shares, I simply mean that those necessary at the minimum amount of shares that are required to be held by any of the director. Why? Because he has been appointed as an additional director, so he hasn't been asked or required to hold qualification shares of the insurer. So these are the three provisions which are applicable to additional director. This thing has been expressly mentioned under section 34C subsection 2. And finally, that additional director not to be counted in the total number of director. For the purpose of reckoning any proportion of the total number of directors of the insurer, any additional director appointed under this particular section, that is section 34C subsection 3, shall not be taken into account. I am repeating again, additional director not to be counted as in total number of directors. I hope you guys are pretty much clear with each and every kind of provision that I expressly provided to you and made you understand in this particular presentation. I'll be concluding this presentation with a promise from your end that you'll be revising your topics time and again, which is extremely crucial, with a dose of motivation, and that will be: first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. This quote was being mentioned by Epictetus. Perfect guys, with this I'll say thank you on behalf of the Edupedia world. Keep interacting via questions, queries and YouTube comment boxes. I will love to solve each one of your queries and grievances. Do write to us, and if in case you have liked this video, give us a thumbs up. We'll be supportive with the fact, and we'll keep motivating you guys to ensure that you guys do understand each and everything very well. Perfect guys, stay connected. That will help us in understanding your needs way better. Perfect. With this, I'll see you in the next presentation. Till then, take care of yourself. Sayonara, good luck, goodbye, love you all. Bye.